Oh, there it is. The Indie Council is in session. Welcome, everyone. This is a place for the leading voices from across the industry to gather to talk news, titles, and everything indie. I'm your master of ceremonies, Jill Grote, the Indie Informer. And today, it's a full council, everybody. We have Steam Next Fest Made Flesh, Janet Garcia.
Hello, I'm looking for a name for doing my own Steam Next Fest on the plane. If anyone has a fun name for it that doesn't include flesh, that'll be great.
Steam Next Flight.
Oh,
that's good. Steam Next Flight. Oh, that's good. I like that. That might be it. Okay, I'm good now.
That will be $50, please.
Steam Next Flight. Okay, 50. I'm gonna send it to you, but don't take the money out yet, because I got.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
I got the checking and the I'll post it.
Encouraging you to decorate your room, Jenny Wyndham.
Hello.
It's like I realize that works on a lot of levels because like your room is always so perfectly like decorated, and I sort of want to live in your space all the time.
Thank you.
But also video game related as well.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
And the most recent technology target, Mike Towndrow.
I've been cyber hacked. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. They don't want you to give your ideas to other people, Mike.
They're all afraid. It's the government. They're afraid. Come at me. You fucking cowards. Sorry, I'm spicy. I'm on a lot of pain meds.
Yeah. We're all gonna like be shut down in the middle of this podcast. We'll see what happens. But before that happens, let's get to indie news and talk about we've got a lot of things happening. Some of them very meaty. I'm not sure how far into this, how far we're gonna dive into this, and that'll make sense. That's a pun for later. Just make myself laugh. But we have been seeing for a long time this sort of Subnautica 2 team versus Krafton and what's going on with that. And it's interesting because it's not exactly an indie team anymore, but a lot of this, what is going on between them, has a lot to do with the reason why it's important for us to talk about what indies are and define them and think about all of that. So have y'all had a chance to kind of have a first impression on everything that's going on? Like Krafton's been in the headlines a little bit recently, and not really for great reasons. So I don't know. Anybody have initial thoughts on things going down?
Jill, would you like to say what the things are for people listening who may not know?
So like with Subnautica, everything, it's sort of like they took well, I'm gonna go through and talk about it, but Krafton has had like a lawsuit. They've dismissed some of the people. They've been accused of pushing back deadlines so they wouldn't have to pay people out. All of that sort of jazz. Did that make it any better? I don't know if
that covers it.
Okay.
It seems like Krafton's like manufacturing delays to not pay promised bonuses.
Yeah.
With said bonuses being deliverable when the game launches. I would sort of understand if it was like maybe the devs' choice of delaying the game for whatever reason, and like Krafton's be like, hey, like
that happens.
Nothing we could really do about it. I get it, whatever. But it was Krafton's decision to delay it. It seems like the game's ready, which is super sketchy because now that is a major paycheck that the devs are not receiving.
Yeah. And to dive into that a little bit, we have GamesIndustry.biz by Samuel Roberts. It's Krafton Inc. versus former Subnautica 2 lead developer. It's a timeline of events so far. And there are a lot. There are a lot of updates. So I'm going to go through them. It's really lovely. I love this kind of writing where you have just a like step by step. These are all the things that have happened, because it's so easy to like see it in your feed and be like, oh, that's a thing, and then but not really either piece them together, or they kind of fly out of your head when other big things happen. And this was only published July 15th, which was for us yesterday. It's already been updated because there's more stuff going on. So let's start out with October 31st of 2021, Krafton announces it's acquired the Subnautica developer Unknown Worlds. So we're going way back in years. Stepping into 2002, they said that they were going to release a genre-defining game in early access in 2020, and it turned out to be Moonbreaker, which was a sort of weird microtransaction-y sort of thing. Apparently still thinking to launch in 2024. But Krafton's already deemed it a failure, so that's interesting. Jump to October of 2024, Subnautica 2 gets its first trailer, and early access is promised for 2025. 2025, Krafton announces that Steve Papautsis, sorry if I screwed that name up, will replace the leadership team of Ted Gill, Charlie Cleveland, and Max McGuire at Unknown Worlds. So Krafton essentially gets rid of all of the Unknown Worlds current leaders and replaces them. The next day, essentially July 2nd to July 4th, Cleveland, who is one of the people who is getting replaced, says that the move is a shock and claims the game is already ready for early access release. Also saying, while we thought this was going to be our decision to make, at least for now, that decision is in Krafton's hands. And after all these years, to find that I'm no longer able to work at the company I started stings. So this is where things really start to get messy, because before it was just kind of like, oh, Krafton is putting out a game with the name of this developer. I mean, it seemed like it wasn't 100% behind, like the devs weren't 100% behind what was going on, but for now you suddenly have this, they have plucked people off something that seems to be done for no real stated reason. Just a couple days later, though, Subnautica 2's early access release gets delayed until 2026, with Bloomberg reporting $250 million of developer bonuses are tied up in the game, reaching certain revenue targets by the end of 2025. So this is where all of that discussion that Mike was talking about of Krafton perhaps pushing things down the line so that it doesn't have to pay out for that bonus, because it looked like, according a few days before, Cleveland saying it looks like it's ready to go into early access, and Krafton saying, oh no, we have to wait until 2026, just a few days later. Very convenient timing for someone who doesn't want to pay something out, if that is the case. Then we have the day after that, the situation escalates. It's a great start. Good writing. In an unprecedented move for a major publisher, Krafton posts a statement on its official homepage taking aim at the ousted leadership of Unknown Worlds with the strapline, "Inevitable leadership change driven by project abandonment." This is wild. Publishers so rarely openly talk about anything. If you go through, and of course I'm going to link all of this down below so you can read the full statement here, but Krafton is legitimately throwing people under the bus, saying they were just not working on things and interested in other projects, and kind of just letting Subnautica 2 slide. It is really something very interesting. But they end with the current early access version of Subnautica 2 also falls short in terms of content volume. So it's saying all of these delays and content missing and things are not where they should be. And it's just really, really wild to see. This is not something that happens. And it is again, this is now day after day after day. July, things are hitting really hard. So July 11th, we get a couple of slides from a May 2025 milestone review for Subnautica 2 leaked. It's posted on a Reddit subreddit, and they appear to show that targeted content for the early access release was scaled down from goals set both a couple of years ago and one year ago, with the number of biomes, creatures, and modes cut down for planned launch, among other things. So now we're getting slides from things like consumers typically never, ever, ever see. They're not meant to be seen by the public. They're being leaked. And then the wild thing on top of this, 2 days later, Krafton confirms that the slides are real. Like, it is getting so messy. It's a bad, bad breakup going across social media, going across, both sides are trying to shape the narrative, and Krafton being able to send its statements out is really trying to craft a certain narrative that things weren't working the way they were supposed to.
Krafton a certain narrative.
That was really good. Y'all.
Thanks.
We're having a good day. So yeah, and then Bloomberg today or yesterday has a report that sheds light on the bonus situation and lawsuit. Krafton apparently plans to extend the eligibility period for the potential 25 million bonus, which would be shared between 40 employees of Unknown Worlds. It's also reportedly planning to advance a portion of 2026 project profit pool to staff. The same report says that co-founders Gill, Cleveland, and McGuire filed a complaint with the Delaware Chancery Court on July 10th, which remains sealed. And then as we were getting ready to go live, I've seen more and more things on this lawsuit. And I haven't been able to look them up just yet, but this is literally happening. It is unfolding like right now. So we are going to get more and more updates to this whole situation that's going on. It's hard to know because the lawsuit is sealed. People it's ill-advised to talk about things when you are in the middle of a lawsuit. But it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound like things are going in a very good direction, which is why I want to give y'all some time to kind of talk out your thoughts before I kind of move on to another talking point. So does anybody want to jump in and say what their kind of thoughts are of this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned it earlier, or like alluded to it, but it's very anti-developer and yeah, just greedy and malicious. And yeah, I hope Krafton gets what's coming to them. I hope there's a happy ending here for the devs.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
unfortunately, I'm not confident because of how the world works, but I hope there's a happy ending.
Yeah, Subnautica, like for people, I'm sure that if you're watching this, you are aware of what Subnautica is. It's one of the indie darlings that a second one announced was a big deal. And I feel like I read in the article that Subnautica 2 was like the second most wish listed game on Steam, or like crafting adventure game or something like that on Steam. So it had a huge following. This is a huge game. It's not technically indie anymore. But the reason I'm bringing it up, not only because it has this legacy of being from this like huge indie, but this is why it's so important for us as people who cover indie games to talk about what is and is not indie and why that's sort of important and what the significance of that is. Because when we're in a situation like this where a publisher can effectively oust anybody it wants to in the development team, it's no longer a game that you can trust to be the self-identified creation that it was when the developers all had control of it, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's a really big reason why I think we always look into what is an indie game and what isn't an indie game, and why that matters, because we are trying really hard to be able to say the people who are bringing this are really bringing you this, who really do have control over their situation. And a lot of the times this sort of situation happens and you never hear about it because it's all behind like non-disclosure agreements and behind closed doors. So in this case, we know very much that there is a disagreement between the publisher and developer, and owner and studio. But a lot of times we don't know that, and we can't know what's happening behind closed doors. And I think, like Mike, I don't want to be super like upset with the world and think that everything's evil, but I think a lot of the times you do have people in power making decisions that the creative people behind projects wouldn't love, and they just have to go with it anyway. So yeah, so that's a big reason why defining indie is very important.
Yeah, I think it's also it's a double-edged sword, getting, whether it's an acquisition, which for a lot of us, a lot of times categorizes them as not indie if they're like acquired, like in the case of like the Subnautica team, or if it's even just like, a publishing deal, which like I know later we're going to talk about Strange Scaffold's games, like they're in a publishing deal, or whether, whatever the relationship is, like any relationship, it can be good or it can be bad, in terms of whether or not it's advantageous for the studio. Obviously, if an indie, I don't want to say graduates, that sounds like one's inherently better than the other, but like if an indie becomes like something that's acquired and it's, no longer indie, obviously, I think a lot of us play games that aren't indie and might still, wishing everybody the best on all those things, but that is the risk. And it's often why you see like some of the bigger players that like, maybe like, I don't know, they're indie but on like a technical level and they're really big, or like like something with like Bungie, right, where like Bungie owns Destiny but Bungie's owned by PlayStation, but like I imagine part of why they fought for ownership of that IP is for things like that. And again, it's not all doom and gloom. Sometimes acquisitions can be good and allow people to like do their creative vision in a way that is safe and sustainable, and that is great when it can happen, but that's not always the case. I cover a lot of stuff outside the indie space, and I remember doing Kind of Funny Games Daily, like back in the day. A big thing that was kind of, I just always said for every acquisition was, cool, I hope it works out for them, because when they're good, they can be really good, right? And I think everyone goes into those deals thinking that it either will be good or thinking that they need to do it, right? Hopefully it's the former. And it's like, this will make a good thing better and not this will save us from going under. But you never know. But like, there are no guarantees in life either, right? Maybe if Subnautica didn't do this deal, maybe that doesn't necessarily mean they would have been automatically better off either. But at the same time, like it seems that they find themselves in a not great situation, and that is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, you always hope to go into these deals thinking the best will happen, but you have to be prepared for the worst. And I think the thing that folks seem to not often think about is like what happens when these promises are broken, and when these commitments that the people who have the money and the power say they're going to uphold don't necessarily uphold their deal, or they're part of the bargain. And that's the really rough part. Games Radar has like a section of the lawsuit, because I guess they've got the pages out.
Yeah,
and
like a few hours ago.
Yeah,
all of this kind of happened.
And just to like put it in sort of this snapshot perspective, like Krafton, according to this like concluding paragraph, it said, promise to leave creative and operational control in the hands of the founders. They broke that promise. Promise to consult with the founders before taking any action that could harm the earnout. Broke that promise. Promise not to take action with the primary business purpose of frustrating the earnout. Broke that promise. They promised to not terminate the founders without cause. They broke that promise. And so it's like, even contractually, it sounds like they had that somehow in writing or somehow covered it, and yet they did not follow through. So yeah, it's just like really unfortunate to see this happen. It's super messy, and yeah.
And the power dynamics there are so hard because at that point you were now an out of work developer trying to match the money of this very large publisher. And I think that a lot of the times that is a tactic used from people in a position of having resources and having power of like, let's go ahead and lawsuit. We can take it longer than you can. And hoping that people run out of money before they, like, not saying that that's what's happening, but yeah, it's 250 mil is a lot of money to perhaps not have to pay out if that, if they are able to. So, yeah.
If we could just reference a positive opposite of this.
Positive.
Not indie, obviously, or whatever you want to call it. Liza P, like those developers just got gifted a major bonus with like everybody got a Switch 2, a fat fucking paycheck.
Yep.
Good times,
Good
good
for them.
story.
Yeah. Red
so,
Hook is
yeah,
also another good shout out. They got acquired
Yeah.
by Behavior Interactive recently, and that seems to have been, like Janet said, a good thing better rather than keeping from going under, and that seems to be
Yeah.
so far a good partnership for them.
So there's still hope in the world.
Yeah,
Hope in the
there's
industry.
hope in the world. Everyone just go drink some tea. We're gonna do this. We're gonna get through it. But
Microsoft could lay off thousands and thousands of people and then put up a job posting with an AI generative goddamn desktop
which we might
PC,
talk
which
about
we'll
later,
get to. But
Which
at
also,
least there's
did
hope.
anyone else notice that I look just like the kit person in the AI image?
I was like, oh my god, it's Janet.
Like I saw that I was scrolling on Instagram and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh man.
Who put my photo on it? I'm like, okay, I think this like model took all my Instagram photos and made this artwork.
Right. And you do have your monitor like that a lot of times. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah, you love
Yeah,
staring at the
see-through.
back of your monitor.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't say you could take this picture of me. Like,
That'd be an amazing lawsuit to hear next. Janet goes up against Microsoft for AI portrait stealing. But you
unfortunately,
know,
I signed my rights away when I got on Zuckerberg's social media platform. And you know what? That is, what are you going to do, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
We take
Yeah.
that L.
Let's talk before we get into the heavy AI stuff. Let's talk about Strange Scaffold Summer, which I want to be a thing for the rest of my life. Strange Scaffold had been hinting for a little bit now that they had some things to talk about, and it seems like they're going to take like an entire month to talk about it, because Strange Scaffold Summer is happening from July 16 to August 16. Starting this morning, we had just a slew of really cool announcements. The first of which being that co-op kaiju cooking, what is it? I was going to do it all by myself and I can't. Is now in
Kaiju
playtest.
cooking horror?
Something
Horror
like
cooking.
that. Cooking,
Horror cooking?
horror cooking. Co-op kaiju horror cooking is going to launch not only this year, but like this month. It is July 29th, if I remember correctly. But before going out, it's got a playtest that is live. You can go to the game's Steam page, and I'll link that below, and ask to be a part of the playtest that is happening. It's a multiplayer cooking game that has to do with horror and kaiju is all I can really tell you about it. But being a big fan of Strange Scaffold, I definitely want to jump into this, and maybe maybe all of us should just like cut out of the stream right now. We're not streaming, we're video recording, but you know what I mean. And just go play it and then come back and be like, hey guys, it was really good. But yeah, no, that was a really good beginning announcement. But they also wanted to discuss the future. So next year, 2026, we should be looking for the sequel to Space Warlord Oregon Trading Simulator, which is Space Warlord Baby Trading Simulator, which is like, how do you make that title weirder? You add babies to it. So you're not actually from Salivier. Great job doing kind of making his stuff a little more red flaggy than perhaps he should. Is like, don't worry about it. You're not trading babies. So, okay, you don't have to worry about it. It's just stocks on babies or being able to short babies. I'm not sure how it works, but it's not actual babies, so don't worry about it. Was the actual thing. And then another thing they are announcing is Truck-kun is supporting me from another world. And it's very anime. It's got a truck. It's got a lovely lady with a sword. I have no idea what that could possibly be about. And that's the kind of game that makes me very happy. Have y'all caught up on all of the Strange Scaffold announcements for today and the summer of Strange Scaffold?
I did as you were reading them.
It's wild how
How
much
do you
stuff
feel?
they do.
Janet, it looks like Bruce really is interested.
Yeah, he's feeling like really passionate today. about everything.
It's like, I need this
Um,
summer.
Yeah, sorry, slaying his tail up my face, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, it continues to be impressive how much stuff they put out, but I think they, seem to really hone in on an idea and take things from ideation to execution pretty quickly. And I think it's a fun approach. There's a lot of different ways to be an indie studio and make indie games, and obviously, like from a content perspective, it can be really fun to like have a lot of stuff come out. I think of like Sock Pop Collective having not the same like intensity of a cadence, but kind of similar structures of like quick hit, fairly affordable stuff. And yeah, it's been fun seeing just like the range of things. I do feel like I can't really keep up with it all, but that's also true of like the entire game landscape. So I'm kind of just taking things as they come and knowing that I can, go back whenever. But yeah, the I'm not a huge multiplayer person, but the co-op kaiju horror cooking game is interesting on a lot of levels. It's interesting in that the working title or actual title sounds like it's just the idea of the game. And they're like, let's just have that be the title. It's interesting in the, I don't know if they've talked about, is this a proximity check game? Is this going to be, or is it just like a multiplayer game?
I think it's just multiplayer.
Yeah, though it does come up next to my Steam, similar to Peak Lethal Company vibes, which just have like the chaotic element. So it feels very like trendy for right now. But oddly enough, it also feels like the idea that was worked on in the game jam from the Psych Odyssey documentary that the guy who wasn't a developer made, which is just like, that's just kind of a fun connection. That's not like a deeper, you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people have thought of this kind of thing. You see stuff like this, even like it has elements of, what do they call it on the AAA side? Splatoon Salmon Run kind of has a little bit of that sort of structure of things coming into the thing. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, shout out to Strange Scaffold. I have to play more of their games. I feel like I've only really dug into click holding, which I think says a lot about me.
Yeah. I'm Your Beast recently came out on consoles, which was really, really cool to see. I really got into Redneck Dinosaur Creepy Mansion 3.
Yeah, you did.
I feel like I missed a word.
Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3?
Yeah, it's in there. That was a really fun game. Like, I've never played one of their games and been like, oh, that was a disappointment. Like, all of their games are just fun popcorn in your mouth.
I was enjoying that TMNT one quite a bit. I just kind of bounced off because I got busy with other stuff. But
I really love I think it's called Sunshine
Shuffle. Yeah, I really like
poker
that.
narrative game.
Right.
I think it's really good.
Started
I
as
really
a cozy
appreciate
game, which was amazing.
Yeah. I just really appreciate they always swing for the fences. There's a great interview with Lexi Luddy that they put up on Shack News with Zalavir, and indie game developer, not actress, Megan Fox, developer of Skatebird, pulled a specific quote from that interview, and it's really, really cool. Quote, I exist in this period and find sustainability during this period, not competing with GTA 6, but very explicitly attempting to fill a different space in someone's life. Strange Scaffold is just making things that could fill other spaces. By filling other spaces, we're able to have different conversations with players and therefore survive. It has worked and it's working, and it's something that even if it doesn't fully succeed, there's not a way that we could fail. And that's a very, very rare thing to discover in this time.
Man, Xalavier just hits every time that he talks, and it's not fair.
I'm very jealous of the way that man speaks and how educated that man is.
It's
Couldn't be me.
legitimate. I'm every time I talk to him, I'm like, I'm a dum dum.
Oh,
Like,
big time. From me, not you.
Chill is so dumb.
I wonder how many indie auteurs there are, and like I kind of do consider, maybe it's just like our bias of like watching Strange Scaffold stuff, but I do think Xalavier does do the work of doing the, you know, being out there and being like kind of a face. Not that you necessarily need to do that, and I also know there's a lot of arguments in the game space around like the auteur thing being maybe like negative for games because it kind of ends up, you know, you associate that person with like the all of the game. But it's just kind of interesting in that I feel like we haven't had a lot of that discussion. I know that we've had a lot of that in AAA for like Miyamoto and Kojima and things, but
Yeah,
I think
in the
Abu is
indie
there
space,
for me also
yeah.
from Certain Studios.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Like-
they've only put the one game out currently, but actually today I wasn't expecting Dead Take to come out at the end of
Right, yeah,
July.
at the end of the
I
month.
thought that was a 2026 game.
100%.
yeah.
I feel like I just
Anyways.
heard about it.
Yeah, I think Abu is getting there as well. I think he's
Yeah.
very good voice in the indie space.
And it's like it's to go off topic because Janet's introduced the topic of the auteur. Like it's on one side a really good marketing tool, and because it's really hard to get indies in front of people, if you have a face that people know, like Davey for Wanderstop.
Yeah.
It's really easy to be like, oh, that's the person that made this, and therefore I want to check this out, and I have some idea of what this is doing. But then, yeah, the negativity is the amplification of an idea that already exists in the space where there are people that do it alone, and that is so very rarely the case. It is not like making games is not the sort of thing you can do on your own 100%, even if it's just like contracting out for music or like getting artists and narrative designers and level designers, and those are the sorts of people, production people and admin people that don't get a lot of flowers a lot of the time, and you do see just like the person's face and you're like, oh, that's this person's work. But yeah, no, Xalavier though is really great at giving credit to other people, but also being a really good face for all of the Strange Scaffold stuff that's going on. And really funny, like unfairly funny and intelligent. So I'm really excited to see it's the first day of Strange Scaffold Summer. I don't know what's going to happen from here until August 16th, but I really am interested to see what's going on. Before the end of that, though, Dames for Games Summer Showcase is coming up July 17th at 12 p.m. PT. I don't know a ton of what's going into this. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of like chatter about who's going to be involved, which is exciting in a way because I want to see what we're shouting out. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out because it's probably up as y'all are seeing this, or it will be very soon. Everybody feeling good? Feeling good about indie news? Are we ready? Are we going to go? Mike, I will give you the options. Before you are a path diverges in the woods. On one hand, we have games we've been playing. On the other hand, we can talk about AI. So where do you want to go?
Seems like a trap.
It does seem like a trap. Let's go with games we've been playing because there's not enough Zoa energy or pain meds in the world to keep me in this chair for the long AI conversation.
Let's do it. Games we've been playing. Mike, what have you been playing?
You want to start with Everdeep Aurora since we've both been playing
which you copy and pasted from my list. I want to point that out.
To type.
To my face. He looked at the dock while I was looking at the dock.
Do I have the tools for you? No, I'm just
so yeah, let's talk about Everdeep Aurora.
Sure. Yeah, the basic setup for Everdeep Aurora, eSpird game, Nautilus developed. Uh, Game Boy Color inspired adventure game. Think of like mechanics like SteamWorld Dig with some of the open-ended exploration you find in Hyperbole, like Breath of the Wild. So you wake up you're a little kitten. You wake up and you find that your mother is missing, and there's meteors about to hit Earth, and the surface is, for all intents and purposes, screwed. So everybody's burrowing underground into the Everdeep to find just to find safety.
Mhm.
And in that underground world, a whole bunch of like delightful characters, treasures to be dug up. The main goal is just you're trying to find your mom, and there are clearly some other mysteries happening. Main quests, side quests, a lot of things happening. This was one of my most anticipated games for a very, very long time, and coming out of the PAX East demo, I thought, like, man, certified banger, cannot wait for more. I was just so hungry for the full build. Once I got past that PAX East point, I was quite disappointed with the full product. Not to say it's a bad game. I think it's an okay to decent video game, but I think there's a lot of system UI mechanic stuff that gets in its way and makes it hard to get through. Going off with the good, I think the sense of exploration is really fun. I love the SteamWorld like mechanics of digging around and uncovering new treasures, doing the gameplay loop of finding certain gems to upgrade your drill, finding new characters, getting quests and different threads going. I think all of that is super great. It's a really great gameplay loop. The issue is, personally, I hate that when I discover, let's say, some sort of point of interest, a cave or something like that. I go in, I clearly don't have the tools that I need to complete this little area. So I bounce out, maybe like an hour or two later, I find said tool. I have no idea where that cave is because there's no sense of like, it doesn't pinpoint it on the map for you, and you don't have the option to put like your own kind of marker on the map. So
Yeah.
I would spend so much time trying to find that spot again, to the point where multiple times I just gave up on that side thing, which I don't understand why they wouldn't go the extra step of just like marking kind of things on the map for you. I get like not wanting to hold your hands, but like if you discovered it already, at least let me set my own marker,
Yeah.
especially since there are other points of interest that they do mark on the map for you. So I don't know where that line is.
Right. I think there is I agree with you that this is one of the weaker parts of the game that they
And I
were
think it's like a
too
significant
yeah.
thing that like really affects the gameplay experience. The other things are like nitpicky, but like I think this is like the core issue.
Yeah. It is very dedicated to having not only the inspiration of retro, but the sensibilities of a retro game, which a lot of retro games nowadays and indie games that emulate a retro game put in modern quality of life aspects to it. And this one, in Everdeep Aurora, like you said, not being able to know where you are on the map or pinpoint things, even trying to get through your inventory a lot of the times frustrated
rough.
me because you can't just go
So
where you want to go.
your
You have to like
inventory is always on the side of your screen.
right.
Like it's not
Can't
like you
change
open up a
it.
menu or something like that. You can't change it or anything. So it's always present. You can only navigate the menu by using left and right on the D-pad, not up and down. So like let's
Mhm.
say I'm in like the fourth row of an item. If I need to get all the way back up, like let's say I'm on the fourth row of the first item. If I want to get to like the second row first item, I can't hit up twice. I have to hit left
Left,
6,
left,
7,
left,
8
left,
times,
left. Yeah.
which like sounds like a stupid nitpick, but if you're constantly navigating, cycling
And you
through
get a
items and
lot of
whatnot,
stuff.
you
You
get
get
a
a lot
lot
of
of stuff.
stuff. It's not
And some
always
stuff
clear exactly what
they don't
you're
explain what
yeah.
they're doing. Even
Yeah.
like there's like a double jump boost mechanic kind of thing.
Mhm,
They
mhm.
don't tell you how to use it. I just like kind of guessed and like button mashed until it kind of worked. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And even things like I really wish, like going back to what you were saying, like modern sensibilities. Let me like I appreciate that the map is always on the side. Let me pull it up so I could see it better.
Right.
It's yeah.
So I think also Those things for me, I can kind of like, okay, you want it to be mysterious and like
Totally.
sure, whatever. I think the hardest thing for me to kind of swallow is that this is a narrative game. This is a game about the story, about really deep and interesting themes about humanity and the darkness that lurks within us and the things that we are willing to do for safety and things that are really touching on things that are happening now that are poignant and authentically told, and all the characters, like you said, are just brilliant and really fun and interesting, and act like real people even though they're like anthropomorphized frogs or whatever. I think the problem is that mostly the narrative of the world of your adventure is told kind of in a Dark Souls-y manner where you have
It
to be
is.
paying attention to descriptions of things and like hints of what's going on in the world. And it's like for games like a Souls game where the juice of that game for a lot of people is the fighting. And then if you want to be the kind of person that cares about the lore, you can go to the lore. That works. But in a game that is in essence a narrative game, I think you need to be a little more upfront
You
about
do.
what the narrative is, because
Yeah.
by the
To be
time I got
honest, I
by
think
the
we're about to
time
say
I
the same
got
thing.
to the sort of end, there was like a twist, and I was like, oh,
Like,
okay.
I
Like
want
the
to touch on
impact
that
wasn't
also
there.
without spoilers.
Yeah.
So, like, first off, the Dark Souls comparison, I think that's fair and totally there. There was a point where like I just gave up on dialogue and trying to understand like what they were trying to tell me. Like I was interested up to a certain point, and I was like, I'm done. Like I just like it got to the point where I just wanted to get through it. With the ending climax thing, without spoilers. So like, and I understood when it happens, like it probably requires multiple playthroughs and like 100%ing items and stuff like that. But again, because of the mechanics and like some of the navigational issues, I don't want to go back to this game. You get to like the climax of the plot, it seems like, and like a character asks you a question and you say like, yes, I hit yes. And I was ready for like a new
Right.
set
Area.
piece, level,
something.
area, whatever it may be. You hit yes and credits roll.
Yep.
And like there's no resolution to what's happening in the game. And it just left me so confused and so perplexed. I could not believe that's how it ended.
See, okay. I disagree with you with the ending because I think it is a very good it is a very good ending to, but like people disagree. I think this is perhaps maybe like a Firewatch situation where like it is a very good resolution to the themes of not understanding and not looking deeper and being ignorant and like that sort of thing.
Sure. Again, without trying to spoil anything. The character you talk to that asks the question says, I found the thing. Are you ready to go see the thing? You hit yes, credits. I think Firewatch at least makes sense narratively, where it kind of like it's a bait and switch, but it does make sense narratively.
So there
So
are
hard to talk
actually
about this.
this game has multiple endings. We
Sure.
can say that. That is easy to say. That's not a spoiler. I have gone through 2 different endings. And I understand both of them. Both of them are essentially not satisfying. I think they're not intentionally not satisfying.
Sure.
In thematic ways. I know that there is something that I have been building towards with certain items that I have that would allow what I think you're asking for is to see this new maybe not. I don't know if it would just go to another ending, but it's like I
Yeah.
kind of want to get there to see it, because if I remember in my email correctly, it's like this game only takes about 2-3 hours to get one ending, 2 endings.
I think it was like 12 for completion. Something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like 12 to 18. So if you're doing a lot, like it seems to want you to do a lot of things to get there. But yeah, unlike I really love an enigmatic game. Like Tunic is one of my
Totally.
favorite games of all time. I know that you like this kind of game as well. There
Yeah,
is
I think
something
also
different
like
that doesn't execute exactly, I think, the way
yeah,
that the developer meant to.
and
Um,
like if the game was mechanically not mechanically fun, but like navigationally fun to play, and like I wish I was like eager to go back and play
right,
through
go
it
back and
again.
like, oh,
Like
I gotta get that third
if
thing. I
I was
gotta,
like, and
yeah,
it's as simple as like if I was able to like just set markers on the map just so I could track where I've been, where I'm going, or even like a tome like quest log, so I could just have like a little check system. Again, I understand like there's a fine line between like being super handholdy and like having that open exploration. I'm just going off like do like again hyperbole the Breath of the Wild thing where like you mark a shrine on a map, or like you do have like a very like
right,
Toem, like a very loose like journal or something that says like, hey, I met this person who is asking about this letter. I think that would go fucking
right.
miles for this game.
Because I definitely have an item where I'm like, I don't remember who needed this. I do not remember who was
Yeah,
interested in this. But
like
I
little
think,
tweaks like that I think would take it from like a okay to decent game to like something that's like really great.
yeah,
Because yeah,
this could
I'm
be
curious about those endings, but like
with
I can't.
with the writing, with the like actual exploration, with the charm of its characters, its world, its visuals. I think this could be a game in Game of the Year discussions. It could be
100%.
very, very easily. I think really, really what is the setback there is the imagine a game in 1998. And like this, all of these things would not be nitpicks back then, like,
Yeah, totally. It's funny.
so
I'm
like,
also I think probably just because I felt like dissatisfied from it, I started I started replaying Metroid Zero Mission for the Game Boy Advance. I think Metroid Zero Mission does a better job at like kind of signposting enough but keeping it open ended, which is to say something. Granted, Zero Mission a remake of the OG Metroid, but also
yeah,
a 25-year-old game for the Game Boy Advance.
yeah.
So, or however many years, but you know what I mean, a GBA game.
But yeah, it's a fun game. It's got a lot
Totally.
in it. I was never without something to do. I may not have been like able to know like, okay, this is the through line of the quest that I'm doing, but as I was kind of digging around, I would always find something interesting. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing this now. There are a lot of really creative like gameplay changes and things that you get to do. Uh, I I love the world. I love the questions it brings up. It's very thought provoking. It's very evocative. I love the characters and the arcs that they go through, um, and what this world is, and how it connects to everything. And I want to see what happens. I want to know why it would take 12 hours, because I feel like I'm at an end, like a satisfying ending in maybe the next hour if I put another hour into it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. There are things like, have you gotten what's essentially the Eye of Truth, Mike?
Um,
Because like that's interesting.
Maybe I don't
Okay,
know.
no, you would know what it was if you'd gotten it. So like that is a whole
Is
nother
it one of the
dimension.
things that, again, without spoilers, is it one of the things you have the choice of 3 items? One of
No,
those? Okay, then I
no, no,
probably
no.
didn't.
That's cool though. I did like that. I feel like that was nothing. I don't
It
know.
definitely, yeah, I've
It
like,
definitely was. It was so
it
good.
was
I
nothing.
really loved that. I really loved that.
Sure,
But
man.
maybe it'll be something. Who knows?
Sure, man is like a damning like
Sure,
I don't
man.
agree with you, but like
No,
yeah, all
You
right.
wouldn't. This
Mhm.
this item is really, really important and really interesting for things that are around, and I want to see where it leads because it adds another dimension to the game. But again, like you were saying,
Oh, is
because
it the glasses?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
have you found stuff with that? Like
Oh, yeah. Like just hidden walls.
not just like hats, but like have you found things?
No, just like
No.
hats and
Okay,
shit.
no. He's just found the hats, gal.
Yeah.
So like I think it's really easy to miss stuff in
And a
this
couple
game.
letters, I guess, also. And like doodles.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like Jill's
I
like
sound
looking
very
up the
negative on
game
this
and
game.
there's like something inside.
There's something cool with that, but I think the part of the game that's hard is that because it doesn't have a lot of breadcrumbs, you miss a lot of this, and it's like,
Mhm.
yeah.
We need
Yeah, I think
a
what's difficult about this game is I can't necessarily recommend it to people who love like Metroidvanias or like a
Mhm.
Hollow Knight without combat because it doesn't have a lot of the hallmarks of the genre that they would expect and want. But I also can't necessarily recommend it to maybe some of the cozy gamers because I can see some of these mechanical sort of stumbles and like difficulties or just like the mechanical clunkiness of it, as well as again the inability to like really track where you're going and sort of take easy notes on what you're trying to do. I think could make it not feel very cozy for people, even though the environment and world itself is super charming and wonderful to be in.
Mhm.
And so
yeah,
it
the
sits
main
in this
character has a button dedicated to meow. It's
right.
very, very cute.
It's very cute. And so it sits in this spot where I feel like I'm a little bit warmer than you both. Like I would, if I had to give it like a score, I'd give it maybe like a 7, like maybe 6.5, 7, which
That's
isn't
fine.
a
I'm higher
bad
than
thing.
that. I give it a 7.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
like 6.5.
yeah, and I think this is a good vibes game. Like I really enjoyed playing it when I just wanted to like have something to do while listening to a podcast and I didn't necessarily care, but it was tough because I was playing it at the same time as like Blueprints where
Oh my
that
God.
world is compelling enough where even if they're intentionally being obtuse on a lot in Blueprints and hiding a lot in Blueprints, you feel really compelled to take out a notebook and take notes. And I think the challenge for me with Everdeep is it was really cute and the vibes were really good, but I wasn't ever compelled really to like pull out a notebook so I could track things. And they didn't have the tools within the game. And so it left me feeling like it was halfway to two different types of gameplay experiences.
Yeah, the thing that kind of killed it for me, admittedly, I did fall victim to like not again, we have different opinions on games, like all of us do, but at the same time, like some of our opinions aren't that different. And when Mike was like, this doesn't have it, I was like, well, you know what? Let me try it anyway. But like I felt Mike on my shoulder being like, I know you know that there's not a lot here for you. And I was like, who said that? So I started playing it and it was one of those things where it did feel like I don't know. Maybe it was like we'll have to come up with a term for it other than maybe like preview goggles in a way, but like, I was same deal. Like when I previewed this game, I thought it was really cool. I was like, yeah, like it's like Dig Dug, but it's cute. I like to dig, but then I started digging and I said, what's really over here? And I did bounce like very fast. Maybe I'll go back and give it another go, but it was one of those things where like I felt like I granted it was a very small amount of time, but I felt like I could not see the through line to fun in this game. And I think fun can be like a lot of different things. Like fun can be like a gut-wrenching story or like something sad. Like there's other, but like I just wasn't really sure. And I think it does seem like it might end up being relegated to kind of what you described, Jenny, like a thing to do. But like there are things I could do that are a little bit more my speed. So then it ends up occupying the space of like, you could play it to play it, but like, am I going to? Like, probably not. But I don't know. Maybe I'll
I think the fun
go back
is
for vibes.
I think the fun is like the cascading ripple effect of like you find one thing and then suddenly like, okay, that's the solution. Since I have that solution, oh, I could do this thing now. Then I could do that thing. Then I could do that thing. I think this game does that very well. But again, the navigational stuff, it's
if
like
you can like get to
okay,
those,
where the
if you
hell?
can get
back to the thing.
Yeah,
Where
it's like where the hell is the thing that I have to do the thing for? At some point in the game, you get like a little friend that tells you that like does signposting. I was like, thank God, this is gonna be the rest of the game. It's gonna tell me where I need to go or a general area. Hell yeah. For 2 goddamn things. I was so mad.
Yeah, I was with you on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it does do that really, really well. And I really cared about each of the characters. I really cared about the quest lines. And I wanted to care a lot more about it. And I think I'll see what that ending that I know is out there somewhere. I'm going to try to see if I can find that ending. And maybe that will change it. I'll come back next week and be like, y'all
Totally.
need to give it back another try because this is a game you need to play. But we'll see. Mike, what have you been playing? What's going on?
I can do a quick one. Desktop Survivors 98, the hotness from PAX East, seemingly from attendees and some of our colleagues. It is a Survivors-like that replicates your desktop PC, and your character is your cursor. So you're just moving your cursor, you're moving your mouse, trying to avoid little baddies. I don't know why I put it like that. And kill them for points, get
We
the
know why.
upgrades, the whole 9 yards. It's a traditional Survivors like, but I think with a really unique setting and twist that, it's such a flooded genre nowadays, but I think it's doing something a little more unique than some of the other ones that we've seen out there. And yeah, it's a good time. It's interesting. I really like that. It's more of a mechanically, it's more than just traditional Survivors. Like, you're on one map and that's it. It has dungeon crawling elements a little bit too. So you're going room by room. So you go into a room, you have to survive for, I think it's like 30 seconds to a minute. Gather all your XP, get your upgrades, but then once you survive a room, you can move on to the next one. There's like shopkeepers, mini games, secrets. It's really cool so far. If you have any interest in that genre, if you like Vampire Survivors and you want to try something different, highly recommend it. It does where it obviously the recommended way to play it is keyboard mouse. Like, use your mouse, use your cursor. I've been playing on Steam Deck. It works great, feels great. So yeah, it's a good time.
Love it. You've also got Fretless on here, and as people are watching this, are allowed to probably talk about it. So there is coverage up, impressions piece by Peter on the Indian farmer, if you want to go check that out, who is much smarter than me in general, but as a musician, being able to like understand some of the in jokes that are going on in the game. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite games of the year. I adore this game. It is a self-proclaimed guitar PG. So as you just alluded to, it's very nerdy musician terms and setups and themes and storylines and references. As a former emo metalcore band kid, I have a degree in music. I'm the target audience for this game. But yeah, even beyond the music stuff, I think this is such a wonderful. This is gonna sound negative, but I'm just using this phrase because a lot of people use this phrase. This is such a wonderful new take on the baby's first RPG. I think it's just such a great entry point into a turn-based RPG. It's linear enough where it's not overwhelming. The only RPG elements is really just customizing your weapons. You only get 4 weapons to choose from, and they all have very specific play styles. And once you find the play style that you're vibing with, you're not going to bounce off of it. It's bite-sized. Like, I think I rolled credits in 6 hours or so. Fun, vibrant, colorful. The accessibility options are wonderful in this game, so you don't have to really deal with some of the more Paper Mario like elements of this game, like timing to the beat or having to worry about rhythm at all. Yeah, I really, really love this game. Harry reviewed it for us for the website. He gave it an 8 out of 10. I think I'd probably go a little higher just because of the music stuff. But yeah, whether you're looking for just a casual, light, turn-based RPG, and I use the term RPG very, very lightly, or if you're missing something like Brutal Legend from back in the day, if you enjoyed Brutal Legend and like what that game did, yeah, you'd have a good time. I can't recommend it enough.
And last but not least, Worship is in early access right now. Is that
It's currently in early access.
Correctly?
I've only touched the tutorial so far. But what the game essentially is, it's Pikmin, but you're controlling a cult.
It's so good. It's so good.
It does the Pikmin thing real goddamn well. It does it so well. And I have not been able to stop thinking about it. I picked up another game I can't talk about yet, so I put it aside momentarily. But now that I've hit a wall in said video game, I think
going
I'm
back.
Going back.
I'm kind of
I am a weirdly I don't talk about it a lot. I am a Pikmin sicko. Granted, I got that guy recently.
Little man.
The little sick
little red man.
So yeah, it's definitely it does the Pikmin formula very well. I would argue to say, granted, early, very, very early into it, but like I think it does it better than like what Tinykin was doing a few years back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like more so like I think Tinykin was doing something different enough where it was more banjo like 3D platformer, where Worship is very much like, you like Pikmin, here you go.
Yeah, I think also Mike might like it because it's a real sicko game. Because
It's a real sicko game.
You take your Pikmin and you murder them and use their blood to draw things to make
It's sick.
things work in the game. So it is, and it's beautiful, black and white with red.
It's really beautiful.
Really, really lovely. I need to jump into this a little bit more, but yeah, I really love the vibes, and so far what I've played of it, I do enjoy the mechanics. But we'll see as it goes on if that continues to be satisfying.
Yeah. There's a preview piece up by Becca on the 6-1 site if you want.
Becca works too
deeper
hard, by the way,
impressions.
Mike. She'd be doing too
I'm
much.
trying. I'm telling her not to.
She's is wild, but go check out all of Becca's stuff. But until then, Mike, are you going to leave us?
I think so. I'm full disclosure for audio listeners, in case you missed it. I took a spill in the shower. I already am not physically all too well. That's why I'm squirming quite a bit. So I need to go flat for a while.
Yeah, get some rest.
Yeah,
But,
feel better.
Feel
Love you
better,
all
Mike.
dearly. Thank you so much for having me, as always. Generative AI bad. Don't do it in games.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay.
Bye, Mike.
Oh my god, I lost control of my mouse. Hold on, I can't leave.
It's the AI Mike is taking over.
Come back.
Okay. Do we want to continue with games we've been playing? Probably a good idea.
Just knock it out.
Janet, you've got a lot of stuff on this list. Tell us about it. What's going
Got
on?
some stuff. I guess I'll just run another list. I'll save. I have Peak in common with Jenny, so I'll just kind of hop on for that. When Jenny goes, I finally tried Slay the Spire. The game that everyone knows is really good. But I said y'all could keep it because it's got cards. You gotta think with your thoughts. I don't want to do all that. But I tried it because I was looking for, where. Again, I think indies should be played on their own, own from their own merits. But you know what indies are great for? When AAA feeling a little quiet, go just go see what's going on over in the indie scene. I know a lot of people. I know Donkey Kong's about to come out, or it's out by the time we're listening. But a lot of people are looking for, hey, what am I playing on Switch 2 besides, the Mario Kart World and all that? And I was one of those people. I wanted to take advantage of my new hardware, do something on there. Nintendo recently rolled out a program that is called Virtual Game Card Loan or something. That's not the name of it, but it's like basically a function where all of your digital games can be represented as like virtual game cards, and you can share a game with someone else. I kind of keep forgetting on if they need to be in your family plan or not. They do need to be physically in the location with you for it to work. But you get to loan that game to someone for 2 weeks, and then it auto goes back. There are many critiques I have of the system. I think it is a little overly convoluted, but not Nintendo podcast, so I'll kind of just leave it at that. But for that reason, I looked at Isaiah's Switch and I said, what's on here that I don't have? And one of the things was Slay the Spire, so I decided to give it a try, and I really like it a lot. I have been playing it nonstop. Again, freezing cold take, but what's new to this take is that I'm not a card person, and I'm a self-proclaimed dumb. I'm not playing any of this Lorelei and the laser card, none of that. All those games scare me, but I find this to be really approachable, and I think it's many games probably fit this mold, but I do think it's a great one for getting to know the language of card games and deck builders. A big learning curve thing. There's a little tutorialization, but not that much, which is painful for me as a player, but probably valuable for me as a player in the future of getting to know, okay, the game has, it's certain verbiage on cards, and you have to know that, like, this is unplayable, but it can be, like, discarded, right? So maybe you're just, or, like, just how things stack and stuff like that has been a bit of a growing pain, but really enjoying it, playing it a lot. I am, like, 20 hours in on my Switch 2, and then I downloaded it on my phone and started on there as well. So I'm doing my run with the Silent on my Switch 2, and I'm doing the Ironclad. This is like the first kid you get. I'm doing that on my phone. Haven't won on either platforms. Going for what might be the longest amount of genuine attempts of Slay the Spire without victory. But I do think I've cracked the case a little bit because I was talking about this on Remap earlier today, and my colleague Chia Contreras, she pointed out that you need to be, like, getting rid of some of your cards. It's kind of the game.
Yep.
And I was like, and they're like, how many cards? How often are you getting rid of cards? And I said, what? Maybe why would I get rid of my cards? I love my cards. And to which she was horrified and also a little depressed in a impressed in a messed up way, right? Because I've gotten to the final boss like 3 times, and she's like, the fact that you've gotten there with your broken,
impressive,
flawed strategy. Oh, you're gonna fly once you start letting go of those cards. So yeah, but I've been enjoying it a lot. Been super fun. So that's Slay the Spire. Hopefully I'll have good news in the coming weeks about slaying the Spire or whatever. And there's a sequel coming out, so it's a great time to. I am trying to clean up some of the iconic indies that I've decided aren't for me. Maybe they are. You know, sometimes check back in. You might surprise yourself.
Next episode, you come in carrying the Spire, dead body.
Yeah, I have the hold on, I have the board game, the physical board game of it. That's ready to go.
Untouched. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unopened. If people get, it's the second time showing this off. Everyone always comments, "Oh, it's still in the wrapping." So what? You know, God,
it's clean. It's ready to go.
I haven't had it that long. It was I got it for my fiance's birthday, which was only about a month ago or so.
Happy birthday, Isaiah.
Yeah, it's a board game, so it'll take us a while to decide to play it because we got another board game on the table, whole thing. Should I do my demos? Do we want to go back and forth, the 3 of us? How do you want to do this, Jill?
Let's go with Jenny. What have you been playing? How you've put something down here, and I'm questioning. But go ahead.
Yeah, I should clarify. Finish for me to answer your question.
Okay.
So I've been spending a lot of time with blueprints. Like the 2 sort of big Goliaths I've had on my backlog have been Expedition 33, which I still need to finish, and blueprints. And so I hunkered down and it's like, I'm just going to focus on one. I'm going to focus on blueprints and just get as far as I can, as far as I want in that game. And then I can like transfer my attention to finishing this other game that I know I want to finish. So I am just under the 100-hour mark, I think, at this point in blueprints. I think I've finished all the puzzles that I can and want to. And it's a pretty solid game. I think I cooled off on it a little bit once I got I think up to credits, outstanding. I think it's really fun, really well done. I know there's a lot of debate over the randomization and how that can add or detract to the gameplay experience. I do think it's an intentional element. And while I don't necessarily enjoy it all the time, I do appreciate the way it made me more invested, and it combined more of that roguelike mentality in a puzzle game, which is normally the knowledge-based puzzle games that normally are based on consistency, like your Outer Wilds, your Gruns. I think it's an interesting idea where you have these 2 almost opposing sort of genre pillars, where one is based on consistency and one is based on that idea of randomness mashed together. Very cool. Again, divisive, but I think that's great. It's good for conversation. Post credits, I think it was really solid to a point, and then the obtuseness of the puzzles just kind of unraveled it for me, where it just became a little bit of a chore for me to feel like I was finding, and I wasn't as excited about it. The narrative becoming more prominent in the post game was really interesting. I also have questions about the story. There are some things that come up that I'm just very interesting. But all in all, a rewarding game to play. I think it should be in some of our top games of 2025 indie discussions for sure. And it's going on the list of games that I think I will recommend to a lot of people with a lot of caveats. So it's one of those where I know it's not for everybody, but I think it does offer a lot for people who are willing to embrace the roughness that some of this game has around its edges.
Also,
really
Jenny's such a gamer who's I'm a little under 100 hours. It's a good game.
Yeah, no. Well, I know. I wish I had it because I thought that was funny too. You didn't say it was good. Even you said it was. I think you said it was decent, which I like.
Yeah,
that's totally
honestly
valid.
It came into play where my stubbornness was the thing propelling me. more
Yeah.
so necessarily than the true enjoyment of like discovery. And so, because I can be a really stubborn player, and I think that was when I realized, and it's kind of a thematic, I don't know, I think one could argue the game is forcing you to examine that stubbornness and how far you're willing to go down the rabbit hole. But I do think this game pushed me to my limit of like, I think this isn't really fun for me anymore. And
Mhm.
I'm just gonna like call it while I'm still when I'm recognizing that, and just be able to enjoy the time I had with the game and go to YouTube for the real sickos who have
Figure
like
that out. Have you
200 plus hours.
did you castle?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't
also
get that far.
Yeah, I also like, yeah, clock towered chess. Like
Oh, no, no,
yeah.
no. No, I mean the puzzle on the wall. You
Mhm.
did. So I
Yes.
didn't I was like I got there and I was like, I know that that's not me. I'm done. I'm cutting out of this because
Yeah,
I
well,
can't.
and I ended up like, there's a Discord I'm a part of where there are a bunch of people who are much smarter than I am,
Mhm.
who had a lot of ability to like guide me, which was really helpful. I don't think I would have gotten as far as I did without their assistance. And so it definitely wasn't something I was able to do on my own, which
Yeah.
again, to a point was really fun, but after a certain point, it just kind of was a little bit much for me. And so I was like, all right, I'll call it.
Yep. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I think I can't remember where this was. I'm gonna look it up and put it in the links below. But like there was someone who wrote a really good article about the ending of Blueprints and how
Mhm.
it kind of mirrors grief in a way and how it's
Mm.
not a like settled point that is perhaps satisfying in that way, which I found very,
Interesting.
very,
Oh,
very interesting.
GameSpot's from Phil Hornshaw. Blueprints doesn't have a satisfying ending, but that's the point.
Yeah,
Is the
Mm.
article you're
it's a
thinking of.
very interesting read. I'll put it down below.
That's cool.
So yeah, I think a game that
Congratulations.
yeah, we done
You did get to
it.
the end. I do think games like that should have a second optional credits that you self trigger, like when you're
Mhm.
ready. Because I do
Like,
think
I'm done.
Yeah.
something that's a little bit sad for me, like the few times I do try to pursue beyond a game, is like if you do end up quitting before like whatever you wanted to do, maybe you wanted to 100% it, maybe whatever. But like I feel like I should get, like I didn't get to actually be satisfied, so I should get a like, if you're watching this, this means that you have decided to step away. And I love
Yeah.
that for you. And then it's the developers clapping or something. I don't know. We need something
I would love
to give
that.
closure, because like there's something so like sad about just like, well, I guess this is where I end, and you just kind of
Walk
like
away.
leave the software. Like it's
Mhm.
yeah, it's
No,
tough.
it does feel like, again, being the stubborn person that I am, it does feel like, but what if I just a little more, like maybe just a little bit more. But I also talked to some friends, and I guess there are some puzzles that folks haven't been able to solve. Like there are still unanswered questions for this game, and so people are
Mhm.
speculating if there's potentially DLC or an update or something coming in the future.
Yeah, we do know
And
there is an update coming in the future
oh, is there?
because of the
Okay.
cabinet situation. There is in the
Yeah,
commissary
yeah,
a
that's true.
video game cabinet,
Yeah.
which the
Right.
game references the fact that it is
Is it?
coming in a later update.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
game itself
That's right.
says it. So I'm
But
like,
can we
I know
trust
there's
the
this
game
update.
and what they're saying?
I
Bum, bum,
know.
bum,
Maybe the whole thing is a ploy to get us to
to
understand what it's
actually
like
figure
to
it out.
hope and
Someone
not
has
have
to
it
yeah,
forced.
someone has to solve a puzzle to trigger it for everybody. That would be wild.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, I do like, as far as I understand what I understand, that is coming in the future. So there's always a possibility that more will be introduced and things will be changed. But this is a game that just keeps
Yeah.
giving, you know?
I
Yeah.
should have recorded a video for myself, like Interstellar style, to like watch, because I want to go back in, and I would love to hit credits. That's all I'm really interested in pursuing. Maybe by the time I get there, I'll be singing a different tune. But I did the opposite of you, Jenny. So it's like I get to see like what the life I could have had, because Claire Obscura came and I started eating that up, and I beamed through that. But I haven't swung back yet to Blueprints, and
Mhm.
I definitely am worried about what reentry looks like. Like I do still have my notes, and I have like some memories of what was going on, but like I'm a little worried about that, so we'll see.
Yeah. Let's talk about Peak for a second and then do quick shout outs before hitting topic of the show, which I think is going to be a bit meaty. Jenny, you've been playing Peak?
I have, and I really enjoy it. I think it's really interesting, just this overall phenomena of, and Janet mentioned this earlier, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's an interesting topic to explore later. This sort of like not unpolished, but these sort of rougher
You don't want to say it, do you?
proximity chat, like multiplayer co-op games that are like
The forbidden
super
genre.
where it's I think there are so many games that have come out very quickly that have short production cycles, short, like small scopes. They are intended all not necessarily to be flash in the pan, but they like know what they are in terms of, this is just like a really fun game you're going to play with your friends for a few months, and you're probably going to bounce off of it once, you know, that few months is done and the next like multiplayer game has come out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that just is really fascinating how we're seeing more of that, especially in light of the way the industry is shifting and like devs can't do longer production cycles. So that's like a whole different conversation. But Peak, co-created by Landfall and Aggro Crab. This is a climbing game, which is also fun because we've had this dearth of or like this explosion of climbing games, I feel like, lately
Mhm.
as well. And you have proximity chat. You can play with 4 friends or 3 other friends, I think up to 20 with a mod, which is absolutely wild. And your goal is to just get to the peak across multiple levels. The interesting part of this is the stamina bar that you use to climb, because that is your biggest sort of restricting factor as you move through this world, because your stamina is impacted by how many things you are carrying, how long you've been climbing, and anything in the environment that you consume or around that may like lower or raise your stamina bar. This is so much fun. It's really chaotic. It's not very easy. Like, I'm very bad at this game. I'm not very good at it. But it is so funny. I cannot help but love every second I'm playing it with friends, because there's always something weird happening, and you can just like, even when you're trying to be nice, sometimes you end up like trolling your friends, and it's great. Like,
Put that on the
so
back of the box.
yeah, it's awesome. And so I don't know, I've really enjoyed my time with it. I think the element of how every single day the map changes is something that keeps it interesting and fresh, where it's like you're constantly being provided these new challenges, and the customization of your scouts, because you're like these little kind of like scout characters. The customization is always really fun, and it's been great seeing the ways that people are creating content online with it, and seeing just the creative things people are doing in game that aren't just climbing. So I've had a great time with it.
Yeah, it's been super solid. I admittedly am not the biggest like fan of what I've been sort of calling like proximity chat games, because I feel like that's the big core connective piece. The forbidden genre term is friend slop, which is the term that's been going around, which again, I am not saying that I agree with that as a term. I don't think it's a great one because it has a negative connotation, but I also don't think, I personally do not believe the people that are using that term, which is largely, you know, the gaming community, means it to be like negative. I think they mean it like it's quick and casual, but yes, it does have a negative connotation. So I hope, I don't know, devs aren't too torn up about people calling their game friend slap, because I don't necessarily think it means they're critiquing the quality of the game. I think that's just what people are calling it. And we gotta figure something else out if we want, you know, it's the Metroid
We
brain
can have a
it all,
whole
right?
nother topic of the show on genre.
The
you know what I'm
genre
saying?
keeps going, and honestly, like it's interesting to see how much I feel like indie is paving the way into new genres. That's something I, you know, not to be like the indie's all innovative and AAA is the same, because I don't think that's true. But I think just there's so many indie games compared to AAA, we are seeing like things kind of progress a little bit faster, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, as a platformer fan and someone that likes climbing games, I think Peak is like among the more enjoyable ones for me. I'm also a credits person. I love to roll credits on something. I love to feel like I completed a game. And you can finish Peak by getting to the top of the mountain. I haven't done that because it's really hard to, and I'm also not that good at Peak. But yeah, I found it to be also like, I think the thing with these games is the tools are like a little slippery, but they're not wildly slippery. This is not like I'm not a fan of like goofy physics games like
Yeah.
there's one where it's like you're fighting a fire, and there's one that's like an ambulance. Like, those kinds of
Oh,
ones I
yeah.
don't like.
Ember.
I forgot the name. Ember, yeah. Like, it's just
Mhm.
too goofy for me to like. I don't find that fun, but I get that other people like that. I like these games because they kind of sit just a little bit goofier than a more standard I don't know, game feel you might end up getting. But yeah, I think this one's really cool. I'm not the biggest fan of survival games either, but I think because, Jenny, like you mentioned, the survival is by way of how big your stamina bar is. I think they really simplify the meter monitoring of the survival genre, where it's like, actually it's all just going to be on this 1 meter, and you're just going to see different colors and different symbols. It's really clean UI. I think my only negative real comment on this game, which I think it might also be intentional, is how hard it is to like get stuff in and out of your backpack. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's on purpose to make it like kind of hard. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but it's just like very like clunky UI, like unintuitive. But again, that might be on purpose. But yeah, I think this one's super solid. I still personally, I'm a Lethal Company #1 for Prox Chat person. I
Mhm.
just, something about the flow of picking up garbage and carrying it back to a ship is just very like mechanically pleasing to me in a way that that Peak doesn't quite hit. But I also think a core element of a lot of these games is learning from like run to run in the way that you would see in like a roguelike light structure. Because part of it is like there's not a lot told to you, so you kind of learn, oh, this is what this vegetation's like, or this is what this item does. And I think there's a lot of fun in that, like playing with the remap crew and figuring out too late what like a magic bean can do. It's like, oh man, that's like such a, and I don't know, it creates a lot of like fun moments of discovery that can be shared with other people. And it's surprisingly like zen of a game. Jenny, I don't know, maybe your experience is a little bit more like knee slappy, but I played with Patrick, and it was just me and him like calmly and quietly at times just like executing on it. Okay, we're gonna do this, and then you do it, and I feel
Nice.
so like focused playing it in a way that I don't in every game, and I think it's kind of nice. But yeah, we'll see if I don't know if I'm gonna end up seeing it through.
Mm.
I don't know, because I'm just not a big like hop on the game kind of gamer. And
Yeah.
I mean, you can play alone, but I do think the fun is sharing the workload of the strategy and everything. I think there's other smart design decisions too, like the fact that you die and can be a ghost and then can kind of scout an area for people. The fact that you can revive your friends, I think, is really smart. So I definitely do want to give them their credit of like, I think it's easy to look at proximity chat games and say, okay, well, that's obviously like the new hotness. That's the moneymaker. And yes, but you still have to execute and make a good game. Like, I think we saw this also with like the Rusty's retirement idle game boom of like, Rusty's a really great idle game. I've personally been doing some exploration of the idle games that are available, and frankly, I've been left wanting from a lot of them. So it's like it's not enough to just say like, well, I'm gonna make a proximity chat game, and so boom,
Yeah.
it's just gonna rake in dollars. Like, I do think, as cool as it is to have like a quick turnaround from ideation to like execution for these two teams, a lot of there's more that makes it work than like, well, it was a good fun idea, obviously it's going to make money. Like, they did also execute it in a way that I think is really effective. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I wanted to highlight because I looked it up just to make sure I'm not saying the wrong number, but yeah, they've sold 5 million units, which is astounding.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just really cool to see, because I remember especially Aggro Crab in particular had posted not that long ago about how the funding for their I think third sort of major title had fallen through, and so they were kind of like a lot of this peak, and then I think they have another unannounced title that's like coming up. These are pivots that were necessitated by, like, again, the stuff in the industry happening that we keep seeing ripple through and like impact these studios and like what their strategies are for sustainability. And so while I don't enjoy the fact that they had to pivot in this way because of like a funding shortfall, I think it is really exciting to see what can be done and how studios are trying to find different ways to collaborate and work together to create something that, you know, works really well. And of course, this is who would have ever thought it would have sold this highly? And
Yeah.
you can't guarantee every collab between studios is going to do this, but it's just neat to see another example of indies trying something and taking these risks and then seeing it pay off. So that's really, really cool.
I love it. Janet, you have a couple of demos. Do you want to just do a quick rapid fire talk about the demos that you're checking out?
Yeah, I'll be pretty brief. I in total played how many? I played 10 demos total, which I have them on my Blue Sky if you want to see all of them, but I'm just going to shout out my 3 favorites. This was, what did Mike call it? My Steam Next Flight, which is a great name. So yeah, Steam Next Flight. It's a thing I'm starting. Anyone can use it and adopt it, and now tag me if you use it because I think that'd be fun. But load up a bunch of demos on your Steam Deck and then play them on an airplane. That's the idea. And it was really cool to like just force myself into doing that. I've mentioned on the show I want to dip into demos more. I see like y'all often are like bringing all these demos to the table, and I'm like, I need to do that. I need to be a tastemaker, instead of just like taking notes on what you guys are saying. So hopefully this is my contribution there. But yeah, I'll start off with Lost and Found Co. This is also shout to the people in my like Blue Sky community who gave me all these recs. These are all just from people on Blue Sky. This is a hidden object game.
Mhm.
It's very beautiful looking. I think it has a nice layer of ease and challenge, which is kind of what you want to find in a hidden object game. You don't want it to be too easy, but if it's too hard, it gets kind of annoying. There's a built-in hint system in the game. There are optional objectives, which I think is great because I love hidden object games, so I am someone that's trying to like do as much as I can in the space. They have light animation work in the hidden object game, so it's one of those of the hidden object genre. It's one of those games where you will be clicking on things to see what the interactions are, and sometimes those interactions will lead to discovering the hidden object, which it's more of a taste thing on if you like that more than just purely having to look. But I personally do enjoy that integration a little bit. I think it's part of elevating the genre beyond, what you can do with like a book hidden object game, which I think for a lot of us, our first introduction to that style was probably physical. And I think the last thing I want to say on Lost and Found Co. is something that's cool, but might end up maybe being like a light ding if it gets a little too chatty, is it does have a story. And I think the story is kind of a cool idea. It kind of reminds me of what we saw with stuff like, I don't know, Promise Mascot Agency. There's just this idea of a company coming in and kind of wrapping the gameplay around like a company structure. So it's this duo that's trying to make money, and their company is Lost and Found Co. And you hire them and they find stuff for you. And there's a little bit of magic infused in it where they can like transform into a duck and a dragon respectively.
I love
But
it.
the dragon's like really small and derpy. And they also have cute little like interstitials that are just pictures of like seemingly the stories after each of the like jobs you do. So like the first job, and the only one I did, was like a kid wanted help finding 5 like rare snacks in the snack shop. And I did that. And then at the end, when I was like done with the level, they cut to like the kid with the snacks, and he like brought the snacks to his mom in the hospital. And like that's really cute and like kind of cool. And it just kind of adds, I don't think every game needs a story to be a good game, but it's clear that they have like intentionality in this story, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other little narratives surface from this. Next one is Pancito Merge, spelled Pancito. Merge, pancito meaning like small bread in Spanish. This is a drop merge game, similar to, actually people mentioned, what's that really
Suika
popular
game?
fruit one? Yes.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's like that. Yes, it's that same genre. This one, I think it's a little bit less fleshed out than I'd like it to be, and it doesn't have like any tutorialization at all, which granted, simple gameplay, but like that was my first impression of the game. I just kind of felt dropped in and a little disoriented, but I kept playing it and I ended up really liking it a lot. I think the art is really beautiful. It is like highlighting like a Mexican bakery, and you also have customers come up to the window and ask for a certain treat, and then you give them the treat, and that can then thus change like the shape kind of the structure. And as the treats combine, you kind of have on the right side like your UI hierarchy of the treats. So it's like, okay, like 2 cookies makes like a bigger cookie, and then 2 of those might make like a croissant looking thing. Again, I forget the names of some of these like Mexican pastries, but yeah, and it's just like there's something, I don't know, really like pleasing about seeing the sweets like intermingle, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I want to play more of this. Like I finished it and I'm like, you know what, it's a little bit rough around the edges, but like I think what it does well, and I really like that. So shout out to that. And my final one is a game called Anne Roger. This has shot up to being a game that I am just breaking down the door, ready. I'm like, I went from not knowing what this game was at all to being like, this is now my most anticipated of the year, I feel like, for indies.
You
this
don't have
is-
long to wait. This is coming out next
No,
week.
it's like right around the
Mhm.
corner. I have
July
to, like,
23rd,
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
very
dig out
soon.
a request for it or something, which maybe there's one in my email. Again, I was away for
Yeah,
a
go
couple
check.
days, so I have 300 emails. But don't worry, it'll get culled down and then whatever. But anyway, and Roger, it's a visual novel that what I've been telling people is it's Florence if it was fucked
Yes.
up.
Yeah.
It's fucked up Florence.
Any chance
only-
that we could get them to change the title, like
Yeah,
before next week?
I guess it could, well, maybe in marketing you could say Florence if it was fucked. Like someone could write that in a thing, I guess. Like maybe it's frowned on to swear in like a PR email. But it's only 10 minutes long. I don't really want to spoil it, so I will say if that pitch alone is interesting, go check it out. But a quick like trigger warning nod. I don't know what the rest of the content of the game will look like. There's no trigger warnings on the page, but it is like a child and like adult scary relationship dynamic. Where that goes, I don't know. How long that is a part of the game, I do not know that either. But if that's something that if you don't like that kind of content, then you might not want to even play the demo. But yeah, I just think it does an incredible job messing with mechanics to create a sense of like unease and fear and disorientedness. That's like not the right word for that, but like you wake up and you look at the time. Like one of the things in the game is you look at the time and the clock has 3 hands and they're all almost the same length. And you just kind of stare at it for a second and they're kind of like slightly different length. So maybe you can figure out the time and there's 3 options and you're trying to, and like, I think that stuff gets really like immersive and interesting. There's a jump scare that's not visual or auditory in this demo, which I was really impressed by. You just get so immersed in the task that you were doing. And then when the result comes, I'm like, oh my gosh, like 1, I'm scared, and 2, I'm like very nervous for what's to come. But yeah, it's a really like creative like implementation of mechanics to create a sense of dread and uncertainty. And the art is really beautiful and well done. There's like a messed up like eating food mini game where there's like spoons overlaying and kind of oscillating. Like it kind of reminds me honestly of, again, Florence is the best comparison, but the parts of like Deltarune that I kind of vibe with, the sort of like additional art to like core mechanic, I think is fun. And this game also reminds me a lot of a game I played on itch a million years ago called Last Meal, where you're eating poisoned potato salad and you have to hide it from the cultists that are watching you eat it, and you have to throw it away when they're not looking. Again, that's the whole idea. That's the whole game. Play it if you're interested. Genuinely, like for a game that simple, I've been thinking about that game ever since I played it, and it comes up so often, and it came up when I was playing this in my mind. So shout out to that game and shout out to this one. Yeah, it looks really cool. It's only going to be like an hour or so long across like 3 chapters. No idea if they're going to stick the landing on the narrative, but if they do, I think this is going to be like my next like indie obsession next to where like Keep Driving and you know Clair Obscure if you still put Sandfall in that bucket and all that fits. Yeah, those were my demos. So got some good stuff. Played other stuff. If you go on my Blue Sky again, you'll see all my thoughts on the 10 that I end up dabbling into.
I love it. Jenny, what are your last shout outs here?
Yeah, so I started and I haven't finished yet, but I've gotten into Wagon, which launched I think at the end of April. This is like Oregon Trail but occult. And like this is for like a Mike Oregon Trail basically. It is basically a 1-bit, looks almost like Obra Dinn in sort of how sort of pixely it is. And it starts off, I mean, it starts dark. It starts off with cannibalism. There's like demons, and you are playing Oregon Trail, but in this very occult and dark world. You have this sort of idle card mechanic where you are looking down almost at a table. And this is kind of what reminded me of Inscription, where there's stuff around your wagon that you can look at and engage with, almost like the escape room puzzle sort of thing, but at its core, you're looking at cards that you have, combining them to create tools, and almost idle game like waiting for like the resources to fill. And so it's got some really interesting hooks. Again, I'm probably only 40 minutes in, so quite early, but it's got me, and I'm really excited to play more. So yeah, that's Wagon. And I have also played, what did I play? Oh, the Curiosmos demo, which just recently dropped. I think maybe like yesterday or so.
Mhm.
This is like a very cozy space sim where you are creating planets, you're creating the universe and the solar system. The mechanic is really interesting because I think of games more like a black and white where you're kind of in this third person view looking directly at like the land and the critters, but in this you're taking much more of a like a further back third person view where you see the entirety of the solar system. And when you do zoom in, the planet takes up like the bottom third, like you just see sort of the rotation of it. And you rotate the planet and you're dragging asteroids to start let's like craft the shape of the world, to be able to get lava that then creates clouds, and then you create these ecosystems through this kind of like dragging and hitting mechanic. And that way it kind of reminds me, like the playfulness of it reminds me of games like Watam almost, where it's about your ability to just kind of like see what happens when you break a thing, or see what happens when you like bash these two things together. So I think like it's very cute. I had fun while playing it. I'm really curious to see how it will hook me beyond just the demo.
Mhm.
And that's where I think, you know, I'm interested to see if they ever update the demo, or if we get more insights onto the gameplay and like what closer to an end game would look like beyond just, hey, this is like really cute and fun and you're just like whacking things together to create planets. But it's a free demo. I encourage you to try it. It's very, very cute.
Yeah, it does look very, very cute. I am
Mhm.
interested in checking this out. And that's sort of the problem with having this podcast, like in general, is y'all talk about these games. I'm like, dang, I need to be playing that. I need to be playing that. But I know I have other things I actually need to be playing. So you've made my life difficult. 'Cause
Yeah.
now-
I was wondering where you were
now-
gonna go with that.
Yeah.
And you went exactly where I thought you would, I guess.
Yeah, no, my life is harder because you were in it.
You're like,
but I
so
love you
no
guys.
thanks.
Yeah.
Speaking of making life harder, I don't know if that's a good transition. I know we have a very dense and meaty topic to jump into. I don't know if we have the time to do that justice. So, live here with all of you, do we want to talk about AI next week so that we can actually get through the entire topic and have Mike here as well, and just leave this as a fun oops all news indie episode? Okay.
Yeah, I think that could be good.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
that
here
could
next
good.
week. I was like, am I even
Same.
here? Like, okay. I was like, yes, yes.
I
Okay.
am, and I would love to give it justice because it is such like, I think we all have a lot to say about it, and I think we
Mhm.
put in
Yeah.
a lot of like energy into like
The
researching
thoughts
it, I
behind
guess,
it. And I'm
thinking
like,
it.
I don't want to be like, okay, let's wrap this up. Let's not talk
Yeah,
about this
no,
or
for
that or the
sure.
other. So
Yeah, Jill put like for like listeners, Jill made a doc of like 13 points, and then like
I'm
we
just
added more
like,
points to the points, so it's at
no,
like 15 different
I looked at
topics.
it this morning and Janet was like
Oh, no,
going
that
off
was
writing a novel. I was like, dang,
I
okay.
was the one who added like the first
Oh,
bit, and
Jenny
then
wrote
you
it.
Yeah.
added.
Okay.
I mostly just copied and pasted from the Steam stuff. You know, it's like it's quick work. It took a few seconds. But yeah, but I do think we have a lot of subtopics within like the topic of like AI in the indie space. So yeah, I'm cool saving that.
Yeah.
And I'll probably play less games for next week. So don't worry.
Works out.
It works. It works out. I do want to just shout out very quickly because we're just talking about games we've been playing, and I think a lot of us have been like off on vacation and just getting kind of into things again. This week has been really, really wild for indies. So I just want to shout out like Everdeep Aurora has come out, or this week and last week. Micropunk, Islanders, New Shores, Mystery of Fangclaw, Becoming Saint, Eric's Home, The Stolen Dream, Worship, Drillcore, Fretless, Wrath of Rifson, The Drifter is coming out this week. Neon Abyss 2 is coming out in early access. Pineapple: A Bittersweet Revenge is coming to Switch. Back to the Dawn is coming out. Sunken Stones. All of this is just like this week and last week. So there are a ton of really, really good games. A lot of games that I hope to be able to talk about a little bit more. And like, I keep saying this, but every week I'm like, this is such a like wild week for indie releases, really strong titles. And then I'm like, but next week also, and last week was, and it just continues to be that through the entire year. And it doesn't seem like it is stopping anytime soon. So if you get a chance this week to play games, play these games because they sound amazing, and there were amazing games to come out as well. But I believe that's going to be the end of this week's council. Thank you for everybody for joining us. It was great to have all 4 of us here to be able to talk about things, at least for a little bit. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The Indie Council has its own socials. Go check us out on Blue Sky at the Indie Council. But this session is closed. Go play some indies.